Hi students, welcome to Vignan online classes. This is A. Srinivas, lecturer in physics, Vignan Junior College, Vadalmudi. Students, we are talking about the magnetism and matter chapter. In magnetism and matter, we completed all the concepts belongs to this chapter in 4 videos. Already we explained one video belongs to problems. So this is the video in which we are going to discuss concepts and problems belongs to the magnetic materials. So especially in this video we discuss the concepts of magnetic properties of matter. Magnetic properties of matter means the relation between intensity of magnetization, magnetic intensity, magnetic field. We know that magnetic intensity is H, magnetic field induction is B, intensity of magnetization is I. A relation among these physical quantities, relative permeability mu r, susceptibility xi, relation between mu r and xi, and followed by elements of earth magnetism and angle of inclination, angle of declination, horizontal component of earth magnetic field, relation between angle of dip and horizontal component of earth magnetic field, elements of earth magnetism, followed by classification of magnetic materials as dia, para and ferro. In that the Curie's law, important point is Curie's law, hysteresis loop. These are the contents that we completed a clear explanation of these contents already in videos, and in this video we summarize the concepts belongs to all these physical quantities, followed by we solve the problems belongs to them. So to have an idea to solve the problems in JEE Main and EAMCET and IIT examinations, so I summarize the concepts and I would like to solve the problems belongs to them. So let us move on to the first concept belongs to magnetic properties of matter. So concepts of magnetic properties of matter. The first one is relation between H and B. We know that H is magnetic intensity, also known as magnetizing force, magnetizing field that is applied on any magnetic material, and B is the magnetic flux density, also known as magnetic field induction. The relation between H and mu, magnetic intensity and magnetic field induction, B, related by B is equal to mu H, where mu is the permeability of the medium of the material, then B is equal to mu H. Next formula, I, this is intensity of magnetization. Capital H is magnetic intensity, that is applied value. Then material, magnetic material gains this value, intensity of magnetization. It is magnetic moment per unit volume, capital M divided by V. Magnetic moment per unit volume is intensity of magnetization. We know that magnetic moment, if you have a magnet here, let us consider a magnet here having a pole strength M. One is north pole, another one is south pole. Length of the magnet is 2L. Let area of cross section of the magnet is A. Then magnetic moment is the product of pole strength and length of magnet in numerator. Denominator volume is area into length. Length get cancelled in numerator and denominator. So intensity of magnetization is also equal to pole strength per unit area of cross section. This is another formula for I. Then relative permeability. Relative permeability is the ratio of magnetic field of the medium to the magnetic field in free space. Ratio of magnetic field in a medium to that of magnetic field present in free space is relative permeability. It is also equal to the ratio of absolute permeability of a medium to the permeability of free space. Ratio of absolute permeability of a medium mu to the permeability of free space is also equal to relative permeability. Then susceptibility. Susceptibility is one physical quantity, parameter of a magnetic material. We understand the nature of magnetic material, and we can know about how easily substance can be magnetized with the help of the susceptibility. That is the ratio of intensity of magnetization to the magnetizing field. Magnetizing field is the applied value on a magnetic material, then material gains this intensity of magnetization. So H is the applied value, then the substance gains intensity of magnetization. Then ratio of intensity of magnetization to the magnetic intensity or magnetizing force is susceptibility Xi m. And relation between susceptibility and relative permeability is equal to 1 plus Xi m. And here, when we consider different magnetic substances such as diamagnetic substance, there are three types of magnetic material and ferro. Then susceptibility value for diamagnetic material and relative permeability value. Susceptibility, here diamagnetic material gains magnetism slightly in opposite direction to the applied magnetic field. So for diamagnetic it is negative decimal. For paramagnetic it gains a feebly magnetism in the direction of applied magnetic field. So I less than H and along H. Therefore we get positive decimal. So 0 less than Xi and less than 1. Positive decimal. And ferromagnetic material are materials such as iron, cobalt and nickel, and they gains large amount of intensity of magnetization. So I very greater than H and along H. Strongly magnetized. Ferromagnetic material are get strongly magnetized. So it is around 1000. Xi m is around 1000. This is the values of Xi m. Here Xi m values. Negative decimal for dia. For para lies between 0 and 1 positive decimal. For ferro it is around 1000. Whereas relative permeability is 1 plus Xi. That's why for diamagnetic material 1 plus negative decimal it converts to positive decimal. So 0 less than mu r less than 1 for diamagnetic material. Already Xi is positive decimal, add 1 to get relative permeability. So it is slightly greater than 1. So mu r is slightly greater than 1, like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 and so on. And relative permeability is as usual is greater than around 1000, greater than 1000 plus 1, like that. So this is the values of relative permeability and susceptibility for three types of magnetic material. So let us move on to the elements of earth magnetism. Let us consider this is magnetic meridian. A vertical plane passing through magnetic axis. Here you are observing the two axes. One is with the red line, another one with yellow line. So let this red line be geographic axis of the earth. The vertical plane passing through geographic axis is geographic meridian. Let yellow line be magnetic axis. Any vertical plane passing through magnetic axis of the earth is magnetic meridian. So they are inclined to each other, making some angle. So this blue shaded plane, let it be magnetic meridian, and this brown colored shade plane be geographic meridian. They are making some angle with each other. The angle between geographic meridian and magnetic meridian is known as the angle of declination. Angle of declination, let it be theta. If you suspended any magnetic needle vertically in a specially instruments like dip circle, then the magnetic needle in a dip circle is an instrument used to find out the angle of dip. when the needle is suspended freely in the vertical plane of the dip circle, the magnetic needle which is kept in magnetic plane, if the compass box kept in magnetic meridian, if compass box of dip circle is kept in magnetic meridian, then magnetic needle lies along this direction, which shows, this direction shows the value of magnetic field of earth, magnetic field of earth. Then the angle made by magnetic field of earth with horizontal, this angle, so this angle is delta, clearly this is known as the angle of dip, also known as angle of inclination. So angle made by magnetic field of earth with horizontal is angle of dip, also known as angle of inclination. Then component of this magnetic field along horizontal, this is BH, horizontal component, and component along the vertical direction is BV, this is vertical component, this is BH, and this is component of earth magnetic field along vertical is vertical component of magnetic field. Then here consider cos delta, opposite side by hypotenuse, so cos delta is equal to BV, sin delta, consider sin delta, opposite side by vertical side, so this is opposite one, this is BV, and this is hypotenuse, this is B. Then sin delta is equal to BV by B, then BV is equal to B sin delta. Similarly, consider cos delta in the triangle, cos delta is horizontal component by hypotenuse BH by B, cos delta BH by B, BH is equal to B cos delta. Squaring and adding the two terms, we get B is equal to square root of BH square. Here we find out B value. So B is equal to square root of BH square plus BV square. So this is the very important expressions belongs to elements of earth magnetism. Here I extend this concept to have some ideas which are very much useful to solve the problems. Suppose we have a dip circle or magnetic needle placed in a plane which is not exactly coincides with magnetic meridian. Let it be making some angle. Here this is the magnetic meridian. Actually let this be the magnetic meridian, but the dip circle is placed in a plane. Observe carefully, dip circle is placed in a plane, not in magnetic meridian, it is making some angle with magnetic meridian. Then this is the angle of dip delta dash, which is not the true dip, it is apparent dip, because this plane is this plane, let this be ABCD, this plane is magnetic meridian. Then angle shown by magnetic needle when the dip circle is placed in a plane which is not coincides with magnetic meridian, then it is said to be not the actual dip, this is apparent dip. Actually this plane A, B dash, C dash, D dash be the magnetic meridian, A, B dash, C dash, D dash be the magnetic meridian plane. Magnetic meridian plane is making some angle alpha with magnetic meridian. So this is the plane ABCD in which we use the dip circle, that is making an angle alpha with actual magnetic meridian. Then tan delta dash is apparent dip. If delta dash is the apparent dip, because the dip circle is kept in a plane which is not exactly coincide with magnetic meridian. Dip circle is not coinciding with magnetic meridian. Then the angle of dip is apparent dip. This tan delta dash is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. So opposite is BV, adjacent side is BH dash. So BV by BH dash. Then the component of horizontal component of earth magnetic field along this direction is BV by BH dash. If BH is the true horizontal component of magnetic field, then along this direction that value is equal to BV by BH dash is equal to BH cos alpha. If BH is the actual horizontal component of that magnetic field, component of that BH along this direction is the BV by BH cos alpha. So BV by BH is true dip. So tan delta dash is equal to tan delta by cos alpha is the formula. Then relation between apparent dip and true dip. This is the very important formula, which is extension to the elements of earth magnetism. Once again I repeat it. Consider a dip circle, the instrument which is used to find the magnetic field or angle of dip of earth at a particular place. Actually that should be aligned in magnetic meridian, but the arrangement is not made properly, so that the dip circle plane, vertical plane of dip circle is arranged in a plane which is not coincide with magnetic meridian. In that the magnetic needle is making delta dash angle with horizontal. This is angle of dip. But as the plane is not the plane in magnetic meridian, so that this angle is apparent dip. Delta dash is the apparent dip. Then actually the magnetic meridian, that is this plane, making alpha angle with the magnetic meridian. Magnetic meridian and the given plane are making alpha angle with each other. Then the apparent dip is given by tan delta dash is equal to opposite side BV by adjacent side BH dash. But BH is the actual value, then component is BH cos alpha, then tan delta dash is equal to tan delta divided by cos alpha. This is the relation between the apparent dip and the true dip. Okay. Then we go for the another concept here, that is the plane of dip circle is set in geographic meridian and the apparent dip is lambda 1. It is then set in vertical plane perpendicular geographic meridian, then apparent dip angle is delta 2. Then declination theta at the plane is, we have the two conclusions, we have to prove them with the help of the explained concept. Already I explained one concept, with the help of explained concept I have to prove these two derivations. Here the plane of dip circle is set in geographic meridian. Remember students, to find out the exact true value of dip, the plane of the dip circle must be in magnetic meridian. But here what happens? The plane of dip circle is set in geographic meridian. So along this plane dip circle is arranged. It is then set in vertical plane perpendicular to the geographic meridian. When it is kept in the dip circle, when kept in geographic meridian, actually that should be present in magnetic meridian. In spite of that, it was arranged wrongly. The dip circle arranged in geographic meridian at which angle of dip is delta 1. Then we write the formula tan delta 1 is equal to BV by BH1. Okay, understood? Then along the given plane, which is not the magnetic meridian, it was kept in different vertical plane. Yet we have at that the angle of dip is the apparent dip. Let it be delta 1. Then tan delta 1 is BV by BH1. Of course, if BH is the true dip, then we write BV by, if BH is true dip, let this be the true dip BH, and that makes theta angle with the geographic meridian. So of course this angle is also known as the angle of inclination, angle of declination. Theta is also known as angle of declination. Then component of BH along the direction is BH cos theta. Then BH1 is considered to be BH cos theta. Then we have tan delta 1 is equal to BV by BH cos theta. And similarly, now this plane is rotated by 90 degrees angle. So along this direction, let this plane be rotated by 90 degrees. The geographic meridian plane now rotated by 90. If this is 90 degrees, then this remaining angle students, if this geographic meridian plane now rotated by 90 degrees, then this is making an angle 90 minus theta. Angle between magnetic meridian and new plane for this dip circle. Initial dip circle kept in geographic meridian, now dip circle plane rotated by 90 degrees. Then angle made by new plane of dip circle with magnetic meridian is 90 minus theta. Okay. Then the dip becomes delta 2. It is then set in vertical plane perpendicular to geographic meridian. So now the dip circle is kept 90 degrees to the geographic meridian. Of course, making 90 minus theta angle with magnetic meridian. Then angle of dip, one more apparent dip is delta 2. Then horizontal component along this direction is BH2 and vertical component same as BV. Then tan delta 2 is equal to BV by BH2, that is equal to BV by BH, okay, cos of 90 minus theta. Component of this BH along this direction is given by BH cos 90 minus theta, that is BH sin theta. BH2 is the value equal to BH cos 90 minus theta, BH sin theta. Then take the ratio of these two, tan delta 1 divided by ratio of the above two equations. Tan delta 1 by tan delta 2 is equal to BV by BH get cancelled, 1 by cos theta into multiply with reciprocal, that is sin theta divided by 1, which is equal to tan theta. So this is equal to tan theta. From this we write theta is equal to tan inverse of tan delta 1 by tan delta 2. Tan delta 2. Okay, I repeat the problem and explanation for convenience. Here, initially, the dip circle is arranged in a plane, that is in geographic meridian. Actually, the dip circle must be along magnetic meridian. In spite of using the dip circle magnetic meridian, it was arranged wrongly in geographic meridian. Then angle of dip is delta 1. Then the tan delta 1 is given by BV by, along this let the horizontal component be BH1. So tan delta 1 is equal to BV by BH1. Actually, in magnetic meridian, the true horizontal component of earth magnetic field BH, then component of BH along this direction is BH cos theta. So BV by BH cos theta. Now this dip circle plane rotated by 90 degrees, so that this is the new plane of dip circle, so that the dip circle plane now makes 90 minus theta angle with magnetic meridian. Then let BH2 be the component, horizontal component of earth magnetic field. Then tan delta 2 is BV by BH2. Then component of BH along this direction is BH sin theta. Now type the ratio of tan delta 1 to tan delta 2. Then BV and BH cancel in these two equations, we get tan theta. Then theta is equal to tan inverse tan delta 1 divided by tan delta 2. Next, to prove the second relation, belongs to the same concept. It is related in terms of cot values. Already we have tan delta 1 is equal to BV by BH cos theta. Then cot delta 1, consider cot delta 1 from that. That is equal to BH by BV into cos theta. BH cos theta by BV is cot delta 1. Similarly, we have tan delta 2, take reciprocal, so that cot delta 2 is equal to BH sin theta by BV, BH sin theta divided by BV. Now squaring and adding these two equations, cot square delta 1 plus cot square delta 2 is equal to BH divided by cot square delta 1 plus cot square delta 2 is equal to BH by BV whole square into cos square theta plus sin square theta. Cos square theta plus sin square theta is 1. For true dip is always possible when the dip circle vertical plane is along magnetic meridian. If dip circle instrument vertical plane is arranged along magnetic meridian, the needle makes some angle delta with horizontal, that is the true dip. So in case of true dip, we have tan delta is equal to BV by BH, opposite side by adjacent side. So if the dip circle is in this blue shaded plane magnetic meridian, then tan delta is opposite side is BV and horizontal side is BH. Then cot delta, where delta is the true dip, cot delta is equal to BH divided by BV. So here BH by BV replaced by cot delta, therefore we get cot square delta 1 plus cot square delta 2 is equal to cot square delta. Then two apparent dips and true dip are related by this final expression. Cot square delta 1 plus cot square delta 2 is equal to cot square delta. Students, finally I conclude the concept. What I explained so far belongs to this true dips and apparent dips. Dip circle is an instrument in which there is a vertical plane. Compass box is a vertical plane, it has a magnetic needle. If suppose we arrange that vertical plane of the dip circle exactly in magnetic meridian, then magnetic needle shows some angle with horizontal, that is exactly the angle of dip. If it was not arranged, that vertical plane of dip circle is not arranged in magnetic meridian, then angle shown by the needle with horizontal is apparent dip. If suppose the plane of dip circle doesn't arrange in exactly magnetic meridian, it arranged wrongly by making some angle theta with magnetic meridian, then apparent dip is delta 1. Now the plane of that wrongly present plane of the dip circle is rotated by 90 degrees exactly. Then we get one more wrong value of that is apparent dip, let it be delta 2. So when two wrongly arranged vertical planes of dip circle which are making 90 degrees angle exactly, the apparent dips are delta 1 and delta 2 respectively. Then true dip angle is delta. Then the relation is the cot square delta 1 plus cot square delta 2 is equal to cot square delta. True apparent dips of 90 degrees planes and true dip are related by this formula. Cot square delta 1 plus cot square delta 2 is equal to cot square delta. And then if the arrangement initially made in geographic meridian, that theta angle is calculated by tan theta is equal to tan delta 1 divided by tan delta 2. In that way we find the tan theta value. Of course, that initially kept position is geographic meridian, we may find the value of angle of declination, that is the angle between geographic meridian and magnetic meridian. Okay, this is the very important concept, extension to the elements of earth magnetism. In concept video, just I explained the elements of earth magnetism. I extended this one to all types of problems, all applications. In JEE Main and advanced examinations, you may have this type of expressions. Next, concepts of magnetic properties of matter. Already, I classified the expressions of the properties of magnetic material, dia, para, ferro. We clearly described those classification already in previous video. Now, in that classification, there are 2 points important. What is the values of susceptibility and relative permeability? Already explained those values 3 minutes before. And then one more important point in the concepts of magnetic properties of matter, that is especially in dia, para, ferro classification, is Curie's law. Curie's law gives the relation between the magnetic susceptibility. Curie's law gives the relation between magnetic susceptibility of paramagnetic material and temperature of that substance, absolute temperature of the substance. So susceptibility of paramagnetic substance and absolute temperature is related in the Curie's law. And finally, this is the important. The susceptibility is proportional to 1 by T, or susceptibility is equal to C by T. This is equation form of Curie's law. Susceptibility of a paramagnetic material is equal to C by absolute temperature. C is the Curie's constant. So it shows that if absolute temperature of paramagnetic substance increases, its susceptibility goes on decreasing. They are inversely related to each other. Susceptibility and absolute temperature are inversely proportional to each other. Okay. Then for ferromagnetic material, the relation of susceptibility and absolute temperature is xi m is equal to C by T minus Tc. T is the temperature of ferromagnetic material and Tc is the Curie temperature. So every ferromagnetic material changes to paramagnetic material. Ferromagnetic material changes to paramagnetic material at certain temperature, that is known as Curie temperature. That is Tc. Tc is the Curie temperature at which ferromagnetic material transfers to paramagnetic material. So once it converts to paramagnetic material, for T greater than Tc, in this equation, the ferromagnetic changes to paramagnetic and it holds good. The relation holds good because it is a paramagnetic material. Okay. The Curie temperature for iron is 1000 Kelvin, for cobalt is 1400 and for nickel 600 Kelvin. Like that, at the given temperatures, the ferromagnetic material changes to paramagnetic material and follows the Curie's law. Okay. Next one is hysteresis loop. We clearly discussed about hysteresis loop already in concepts. Here, the area of the loop is directly proportional to, area of the hysteresis loop is directly proportional to the heat loss by the substance during magnetization and demagnetization. When applied magnetizing field is changing in cycles, positive value, zero value, negative value and positive value. When applied magnetizing field is changing in a cycle order on a magnetic material, the area of the hysteresis loop is proportional to amount of heat energy dissipated. Amount of energy lost in form of heat energy is directly proportional to area of the loop. Okay, that is the first thing. To prepare permanent magnets, we know that this value is known as retentivity and this is known as coercivity. So this y coordinate, when applied magnetizing field reduces to 0, remaining value of magnetizing field or intensity of magnetization. Remaining value of magnetic field or intensity of magnetization is retentivity. The minimum negative magnetizing field required, minimum negative magnetizing field required to bring the intensity of magnetization to 0 in any magnetic material is coercivity. This amount is coercivity, this amount is retentivity. Okay, they are useful in solving the problems. So to prepare permanent magnets, the magnet must retain its retentivity and it should have more coercivity without getting demagnetization. That's why area of the loop must be large for permanent magnets. So the magnetic material for which hysteresis loop area is large are useful to prepare permanent magnets. So iron, cobalt, nickel, generally steel, among these steel is an alloy which having more value of retentivity and coercivity, it has more area of the hysteresis loop, hence steel is useful to make permanent magnets. Whereas the loop for which the area of the loop is less, the material for which area of the loop is less, material for which area of the loop is very less are used to prepare electromagnet because loss of heat is also less. They lose heat energy in very less amount, loss of heat is less when it undergoes so many cycles. So to prepare transformers or to prepare electromagnets as transformer cores as well as electromagnet, we use soft iron because of very less area of the hysteresis loop. So these are the concepts I summarized from the magnetic properties of material. Next I go for the problems. So let us come to the first problem. The magnetic intensity H at the center of a solenoid carrying current of 2 ampere is found to be. So we have a solenoid. we have a solenoid. So a current carrying wire is wounded on a cylindrical shape. This is said to be solenoid. In the solenoid, the current passing through the loop is I is equal to 2 amperes. Current through it is 2 ampere. And magnetic intensity means H is equal to 1500 ampere per meter. Find the number of turns per centimeter of the solenoid. Here we know that the magnetic field along the axis of the solenoid is mu naught Ni. In free space, H is equal to B by mu naught. Magnetic intensity, H is equal to B by mu naught, that is equal to Ni. Where N are the number of turns per unit length, unit meter. Therefore, number of turns per unit meter is H by I. H is given by 1500 by I is equal to 2, that's value is equal to 750 turns per meter. But the question is, what are the number of turns per centimeter? 750 divided by 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So that is 7.5 turns are there per centimeter. Therefore, along the solenoid, the magnetic intensity or magnetizing field is given by H is equal to Ni. N are the number of turns per unit meter, I is the current passing through the solenoid. So let us move on to the next problem. A rod is inserted as the core in the current carrying solenoid of the previous problem. So in previous problem, we know that H is equal to 1500 ampere per meter and I is equal to, in previous problem, 2 amperes is the current passing through the solenoid. A rod is inserted in the core. So let us draw the same diagram. This is the solenoid, but we inserted a rod along the axis of the solenoid. The shaded one is the rod inserted along the axis of the solenoid. So what is the magnetic intensity at the center? The magnetic intensity at the center of the solenoid is independent of any magnetic material present inside the solenoid. It is independent of medium, independent of magnetic material that inserted along the axis. The magnetizing field only depends upon, the expression for magnetizing field is Ni. I is the current passing through the solenoid and N are the number of turns per unit meter. That's why for question A, the answer for the magnetizing, what is the magnetic intensity? Magnetic intensity means H. It remains constant as 1500 ampere per meter. It is independent of the magnetic material that introduced into the solenoid. Comes to the second problem. If the magnetization I of the core is found to be, in second problem, the intensity of magnetization. This magnetic material get magnetized and it get intensity. The intensity of magnetization of that material is 0.12 ampere per meter. Find the susceptibility of the material of the rod. We know that the susceptibility is the ratio of intensity of magnetization to the magnetic intensity. Susceptibility is the ratio of intensity of magnetization to the magnetic intensity. That is I by H. So that is 0.12 divided by 1500. So that value is equal to 1200 into 10 to the power of minus 4 divided by 1500. So 100 get cancelled, and then 3 4 times, 3 5 times, 4 by 5, 0.8 into 10 power minus 4 or 8 into 10 power minus 5. No units for susceptibility. 8 into 10 power minus 5 is the value of susceptibility. Here the susceptibility is positive decimal. Susceptibility lies between 0 and 1. 8 into 10 power minus 5 means slightly greater than 0, very close to 0 and positive. Hence, the positive decimal susceptibility material is paramagnetic material. So, third question is the material paramagnetic, diamagnetic and ferromagnetic means it is a paramagnetic material. So, let us move on to the next problem. The susceptibility of analyte iron at saturation is 5500. So, susceptibility value is given, that is 5500. No units for them. Find the permeability of analyte iron at saturation. We have to find out permeability. That is, permeability means mu value. We know that mu r is equal to 1 plus xi. 1 plus xi. Mu r, which is equal to 5501. Susceptibility is given. From that, first I find out the value of relative permeability 1 plus xi, that is equal to 5501. We know that mu r is equal to mu by mu naught. Mu by mu naught. Relative permeability is the ratio of permeability of the medium to the permeability of free space. That is 5501. From this, absolute permeability and cross multiplication, absolute permeability is mu naught into 5501. Mu naught is equal to mu naught value, the permeability of analyte. We have to find mu value. We know that mu naught is 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. 4 pi is 3.14 into 10 to the power of minus 7 into 5501. So, multiplying this value, we find this is 6.9 into 10 power minus 3. That is Henry per meter. So, susceptibility is given. From that, I find out relative permeability 1 plus xi. Relative permeability is mu by mu naught, and cross multiplying mu means permeability of the material. So, permeability of the medium is mu naught into this value. Substituting mu naught as 4 pi into 10 power minus 7, and we get that is 6.9 into 10 power minus 3 Henry per meter. Henry per meter is one unit of permeability. So, next, the magnetic field B and magnetic intensity H in a material are found to be. Here in a magnetic material, magnetic field denoted by B, 1.6 Tesla, and magnetic intensity H is 1000 ampere per meter. Magnetic intensity respectively, B and H are given. Calculate the relative permeability and susceptibility of the material. Relative permeability and susceptibility. We know that B is equal to mu H. B is given by mu into H. And B is given by 1.6 Tesla and H is given by 1000, and we have to find out relative permeability. We know that mu r is equal to mu by mu naught, and one more relation is relative permeability is mu divided by mu naught. Relative permeability is mu by mu naught. Then we replace mu by the formula mu r into mu naught. Then B is equal to mu H, also equal to mu r mu naught into H. From this, mu r is equal to relative permeability is equal to B by mu r mu naught into H. So, mu r is equal to B by mu naught into H. Then the value of mu r, relative permeability, B by mu naught into H. Then B value is 1.6 divided by mu naught value 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7 into H value is 1000. So, this is equal to 10 power minus 7 into 1000, 10 power minus 4. So, 1.6 into 10 to the power of plus 4 divided by 4 into 3.14. So, this is equal to 1.6 by 4 means 0.4 into 10 power 4, 0.4 into 10 power 4 divided by 3.14. That's value is equal to 4 into 10 power 3 divided by 3.14. This is 1.3 into 10 power 3. So that is 1300. 1.3 into 10 power 3 or 1300 is the relative permeability. Then susceptibility. We know that mu r is equal to 1 plus xi. Susceptibility xi is equal to mu r minus 1. So 1299. These two doesn't have any units, mu r and xi. 1299, 1299. So once again, the magnetic field B is given in a medium and applied magnetic intensity is also given. Find relative permeability. The actual expression for relation between B and H is B is equal to mu H, and one more mu r is equal to mu by mu naught, then mu is equal to mu r mu naught into H, then mu r is B by mu naught into H. Substitute in the respective values, we calculated mu r, then mu r is equal to 1 plus xi or xi is equal to mu r minus 1. From that we calculated susceptibility value. So let us move on to the next problem. The susceptibility of magnetism at 300 Kelvin. Initial temperature of substance is given by T1 is equal to 300 Kelvin. Absolute value, absolute scale of temperature. And susceptibility value is xi1 is equal to 1.2 into 10 to the power of minus 5. At what temperature we have to find T2 value? At what temperature will the susceptibility increase as to 1.8 into 10 power minus? So xi2 increases to 1.8 into 10 power minus 5, then what is temperature? Here susceptibility is in positive decimal, means it is paramagnetic material. For paramagnetic material, Curie's law holds good, which gives the relation between susceptibility and absolute temperature. In Curie's law, we know that susceptibility of paramagnetic material is Zau is equal to Curie constant by absolute temperature. From this we write the xi1 divided by xi2, ratio of susceptibilities is inversely proportional to T, therefore T2 divided by T1. This implies T2 is equal to xi1 into T1 divided by xi2. Substitute the values. T2 is equal to xi1 is 1.2 into 10 to the power of minus 5 into temperature is T1 300 Kelvin by xi2 is equal to 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 5. 10 power minus 5 get cancelled and this is 12 by 18 and this is 3 6 2's and 6 3's, 2 by 3. So 300 by 3 means 100 into 2, that is 200 Kelvin is the absolute temperature in the second case. So here it is a paramagnetic material, we identified it. Curie's law holds good, xi is equal to C by T. From that we calculated T2 value. So let us move on to the next problem. Assume that each iron atom has a permanent magnetic moment equal to 2 Bohr magneton. So magnetic moment of each atom, substance have so many number of atoms in the given volume, then magnetic moment of each atom is given in the data. Magnetic moment of each atom, each iron atom is given by 2 Bohr magnetons, where 1 Bohr magneton equal to this value. So each atom is 2 Bohr magneton, that is 2 into 9.27 into 10 to the power of minus 24 SI units. 9.27 into 10 power minus 24 ampere meter square is the magnetic moment of each atom. Magnetic moment, this is 1 Bohr magneton value. Each atom has 2 Bohr magneton value. So magnetic moment of each atom is given by 2 into 9.27 in 10 power minus 24 ampere meter square. The density of atom in iron means number of atoms per unit volume. Let it be density. Let density be rho. This is the number density. This is the number density. Don't consider as the mass density. Let number density be n by v. Let it be small n. Let it be number density. Let it be small n. Number of atoms per unit volume. That is total number of atoms by total volume of the substance. That is given in the second data. 8.52 second part of this data, we have this value. Pick up that one. 8.52 into 10 power 28 atoms per unit volume. Atoms per meter cube is the value of number density. Then find the maximum magnetization in a long cylindrical iron. So first bit is maximum magnetization. That is I. Magnetization full form is intensity of magnetization. If any atom, each atom has this value of magnetic moment and there are number density is given like this. Maximum magnetization means if all the atoms are oriented along same direction by any process, by applying any amount of saturation value, by applying any amount of magnetizing field in saturation, if all atoms are oriented along same direction and gives the magnetic moment along same direction, then it get maximum magnetic moment followed by it possesses maximum intensity of magnetization. Then maximum intensity of magnetization is I, that is the magnetic moment per unit volume. Magnetic moment per unit volume is N into M each. So M each is the magnetic moment of each atom. Magnetic moment of each atom into number of atoms. Let N be the number of atoms of the substance. The substance in its total volume has n number of atoms. Then each atom has magnetic moment M each. Then all the magnetic moments added together in vector form gives rise to total magnetic moment, or maximum magnetic moment is N into total number of atoms into each atom magnetic moment by volume. So we know the N by V value already here and M each value. It gives the intensity of magnetization maximum value. So N by V is equal to 8.52 into 10 power 28 into 2 into 9.27 magnetic moment of each atom. 2 into 9.27 into 10 to the power of minus 24, so that it becomes 1.58. By calculating this product, we find out 1.58 into 10 power 6 ampere per meter. SI unit of intensity of magnetization is ampere per meter. So the answer is 1.58 into 10 power 6 ampere per meter. Then second question, B bit. Find the maximum magnetic field B on the axis inside the cylinder. We have I value. So B is equal to, actually B is equal to mu naught into I plus H. This is the actual value of magnetic field along any magnetic material. But here there is no applied magnetic field here. Magnetizing field is not applied. Just we assume all the atoms are oriented to give maximum intensity of magnetization. So in that case it becomes mu naught into I. Multiply the above value with mu naught. You know that is mu naught is 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7 into 1.58 into 10 power 6. By taking this product we get this is approximately 2. The unit is Tesla, 2 Tesla. So the formulas used here are intensity of magnetization is magnetic moment per unit volume, and then magnetic field along the material is mu naught into I plus H. Here there is no value of H mentioned here. That's why due to intensity of magnetization the magnetic field developed across it at a situation of maximum intensity of magnetization is mu naught I, and we calculated it well. So let us go to the next problem. The coercive force for a certain permanent magnet. Coercive force is the minimum negative, this part is coercive force. The minimum magnetizing force applied here minimum magnetizing force applied here, this value along x-axis is coercivity. Coercivity is the minimum negative magnetizing force applied on the magnetic material to bring the magnetic field to zero. If the magnetic material has any magnetic field inside in it or intensity of magnetization, to bring that value to zero, the minimum negative magnetizing field applied on it in opposite direction to the intensity of magnetization is coercive force. So this is the concept from the diagram. Now consider the data. The coercive force of a certain permanent magnet is the H value applied in a negative direction is H is equal to 4 into 10 power 4 ampere per meter. This magnet placed inside a long solenoid of 40 turns per centimeter. So number of turns per unit meter is important. So 40 by centimeter means 10 power minus 2 meter. That is 4 into 10 power 3 turns per meter. Number of turns per unit length. Then, and a current is passed in the solenoid to demagnetize it completely. Find the current. To demagnetize it, then H is equal to Ni. Already we discussed this problem very clearly. This type of problems, H is equal to Ni. The very first problem in our part of discussion was the same model. That's why directly I am writing the formula. H is equal to Ni, where H is the negative magnetizing force due to opposite directed current in solenoid. Then we have to find magnitude of that opposite directed current. I is equal to H by N, and H value is 4 into 10 to the power of 4 by N value is 4 into 10 power 3. So 10 amperes is the current in opposite direction in the solenoid to demagnetize it completely. So let us go to the next problem. A paramagnetic material has 10 power 28 atoms per meter cube. Its magnetic susceptibility at a temperature T1 is 350 Kelvin. T1 is 350 Kelvin. At that temperature, the magnetic susceptibility Xi1 is given by 2.8 into 10 to the power of minus 4. Its susceptibility at a temperature T2 is equal to 300 Kelvin. Then what is Xi2? Here no need to use this first line data. It has 10 power 28 atoms per meter cube. That is the atom density, number of atoms per unit volume. Atom density not useful in this data. Only to find Xi2 we use Curie's law. We know that in Curie's law temperature and susceptibility are inversely proportional to each other. Then Xi2 divided by Xi1 is equal to T1 divided by T2. Therefore Xi2 is equal to T1 Xi1 divided by T2. T1 is 300 Kelvin. Xi1 is 2.8 into 10 power minus 4. And T2 is 350 Kelvin. 10 cancel numerator and denominator. And this is 6 times, 7 times. 7, that is 6 into 2.8 in 10 power minus 4 by 7 means that is approximately equal to 6 times 7 times 0.4 into 10 power minus 4. Here susceptibility is inversely proportional temperature once again. Then Xi2 divided by Xi1 is equal to T1 by T2. Xi2 is equal to T1 Xi1 divided by T2. T1 is 350 Kelvin. So here I change the temperature value, students. T1 is 350 Kelvin and Xi1 is 2.8 into 10 power minus 4 by T2 is 300 Kelvin. 10 cancel in numerator and denominator, and 7 times and 6 times, and its value is 7 into 2.8 by 6, that is 0.6424 and approximately 6 7s 42 into 10 power minus 4. So 7 7s 49, 7 4s 28 plus 4, that is approximately 3.29 into 10 to the power of minus 4 is the susceptibility in second case. Okay, let us go to the next problem. A magnetic dipole acted upon by two magnetic fields which are inclined to each other at an angle of 75 degrees. One of the field has a magnitude of 15 millitesla. The dipole attains stable equilibrium at an angle of 30 degrees with this field. The magnitude of the other field is. Here we have two magnetic fields like this. This is B1 and this is B2. There are two magnetic fields B1, B2, making this angle is given by 75 degrees, B1, B2. One of the field has a magnitude 15 millitesla. So here one of the fields, let B1 value be 15 millitesla. The dipole attains a stable equilibrium at an angle of 30 degrees. When suppose we inserted any magnetic needle, the magnetic needle will comes to rest by making 30 degrees angle with B1. Then the torque B1 try to deflect the magnetic needle along B1 and B2 try to deflect the magnetic needle to align along B2. Both are try to rotate the magnetic needle along its own magnetic field direction. So tau 1 try to move towards B1, tau 2 torque due to second magnetic field try to rotate the magnetic needle to align it along B2. So tau 1 try to rotate in clockwise and tau 2 try to rotate in anti-clockwise, but it remains in equilibrium at 30 degrees means the two torques are equal. Tau 1 must be equal to tau 2. Two torques must be equal. So M torque formula is MB sin theta, then MB1 sin 30 must be equal to M same magnetic needle. Torque produced by second magnetic field is MB2 sin of remaining angle sin 45. So M get cancelled on both sides here. B1 is 15 millitesla, sin 30 is 1 by 2 and B2 into sin 45 1 by root 2. On cross multiplying we find out B2 is equal to 15 millitesla divided by root 2, because on cross multiplying there is root 2 by 2, there is root 2, 1.414. So 15 by 1.414 approximately equal to 11, therefore answer is 11 millitesla. So let us move on to the next problem. Needle N1, N2 and N3 are made up of ferromagnetic, paramagnetic and diamagnetic. N1 is ferro, N2 is para and N3 is dia respectively. Then magnet which brought close to them will be. Here ferromagnetic material has a strong magnetic attraction. That's why when you consider third option, the needle N1 attracts N1 strongly, because these three magnetic material are placed. A magnet when brought close to them, when you brought a magnet close to these three needles, then N1 attracts strongly because of ferromagnetic nature, N2 attracts partially, weakly, and N3 get repelled. So we know this property in the comparison of dia-para ferromagnetic material. And next one, the material suitable for making electromagnets. Already I explained in concepts also in this video. The hysteresis loop area is more. It is useful to make permanent magnets, and the loop hysteresis loop area is less, and which has less coercivity and less retentivity. Here coercivity is very less for this one. They are useful to prepare electromagnets. So to prepare electromagnets we have to consider a material for which the hysteresis loop has low retentivity and low coercivity, so that area of the loop is less. So when it undergoing so many cycles of magnetizing and demagnetizing, loss of energy get reduced. To have less loss of energy in form of heat energy, area of the loop must be small, so that it should have low retentivity. This is retentivity and this is coercivity. These two values should be as low as possible to prepare any electromagnet. That's why we use soft iron, we prefer soft iron to prepare electromagnets. So Curie temperature, already we studied that Curie temperature is a particular temperature at which ferromagnetic material changes to paramagnetic material. So Curie temperature is the temperature above which a ferromagnetic material becomes paramagnetic material. Theory bits in recent JEE main exams, so many theory questions belongs to this para-diaferromagnetic material classification, as well as the hysteresis loop concepts are also given along with the derivations. Okay, students, I explained concepts belongs to the properties of magnetic material, followed by I explained the numericals belongs to them. I hope you followed the problems very well. Thank you one and all. Thank you very much.